Now that we have some of the program design methodologies out of the way, what we're going to need to do is have some way to get data into the system. We're going to have to manipulate that data, and that data is going to have to come out in a meaningful way in order for us, the end user, to be able to make decisions with that data. Here in 1.5, we have the idea of program data. There's really only three kinds of program data. I know it makes it easy, right? The first one, far and away, the one you are going to use the most often is what is known as a variable. You can think of a variable like a temporary storage container. A variable simply has a temporary storage for whatever kind of data it is that you're going to put in there. When you're done with it, you essentially just dump that container out and you fill it again with whatever the next bit of data is that goes into that particular variable. Um, After variables, we have constants. A constant is very much the same as a variable, only you don't expect that it's going to change over the life of a program. So, for instance, a variable could be something like student name. So as I go around a classroom, I would call on one student, then another student, then another student, and those names are clearly going to be different, unless I have clones all over the classroom, in which case I'm running out screaming. So, as I go from student 1 to student 2 to student 3, I'm taking that variable and I'm putting it in that container. A constant, on the other hand, is something that doesn't change. That would be something like if you think about a sales tax record. From one transaction to another transaction to another transaction, if I am physically located, in a store someplace. So I'm here on campus at Meg's Coffee, and we have to charge sales taxes. There is no reason for that program, the point of sale program, to allow the barista who's working there at any given time to change the sales tax from one student to another, because that probably just leads to shenanigans and is illegal. So a constant is something that we need a value in there, but it does not change, because making a change is either illegal from like an actual law perspective, or that being able to change that is going to have some either small or some very large negative consequences on our program as we go through. Finally, we have a literal. You don't see these nearly as often as the other two types, the variables and the constant. A literal is a literal stand-in for its number. It can be useful in some older kinds of programming nomenclatures, but for us, for the most part, we're going to stick to variables and constants. So a literal would be if I need 50, 50, to be represented by the number 50, I would have a literal called 50. It's a little circular in its argumentation there, right? So I need 50, I call it 50, and it's always the value of 50. Really, you could have gotten away with this with a simple constant. But literals certainly have had value in programming in the past. It's just that for us in this class, certainly we are going to stick to the far and away most used two kinds of program data, which are variables and constants. The last little used of those is going to be literals.